We were actually going to have a work session that had to do with long sewers and septic systems, but the cold weather and the natural gas prices that you probably have seen in the news as of late, the time was better served, I think, discussing this. So I just prepared a small PowerPoint to just kind of highlight some of the information. Hopefully, this will be kind of a discussion type meeting as well. So if you have any questions or anything, please just feel free to pop in and ask them at the time too. But basically, I'm just going to start with what happened. There was a historic cold weather, a series of winter storms that impacted both the Midwest as well as Texas. We've all heard quite a bit of information about Texas. And basically what happened was the cold weather drove up demand. And both the generators, electric generators, and natural gas heating were competing for the same supply. And because of the cold, the supply was constrained, mainly because there were natural gas wells, there were pipeline freezes, there were some wind turbine and power plant freezes. So basically, supply and demand kicked in. There wasn't enough supply for the demand, which ultimately increased the market price of natural gas. What we saw was gas skyrocketed, which both affected the natural gas industry as well as the electric generation industry. The majority of it, of what we're seeing, is on the natural gas side. There was some impact to electric, not as great. New Ulm basically saw the price of gas increase at the beginning of the month. It was at $2.60 MCF. At one point towards the middle of the month, we were seeing $188 per MCF. So that was a significant increase, one of the highest increases that I've ever seen in the time that I've been here. And so actually what this has caused is an economic disaster for any utility that relies on the market to get their gas, which is basically all of them. We needed to pay for the higher gas in order to get the gas here to heat people's homes, and also for a generation of electricity with some utilities. And what I'm hearing is there's many municipal utilities that have spent their entire fuel budget in those 4 days that the gas prices spiked. So just a little idea of what we did, the New Ulm Public Utilities. Once we saw prices starting to rise, they went from, the gradual increase to the point where they got to about $6.90. The next day they rose to $15. At that point, we started sending out notices. The next day they were at $154. So it was a huge increase. But we started out sending notices. We got them in the paper. We got them on radio. We had NewCat put some information on the TV. We had Facebook. And then our website as well. And basically what we were asking our customers to do was to conserve, and it was mainly to help their bills. The less molecules you're burning, the less dollars you're going to pay. And we just wanted to let them know what the reason was, and it was that natural gas prices were rising. We notified the chamber to contact the members, businesses in town, let them know. We called some of our large industrial users, and we started contacting any of the state and federal utility organizations. They were seeing the same thing. We wanted them to know that we were seeing it and it was affecting us. So we tried to focus on what we could control, because we could not control the price of natural gas. The only thing that we could control was communicating and informing our customers. And so that's what we spent our time doing. What is the outlook? Like I said before, this is a catastrophic financial blow to any utility that relies on market conditions. And I've been in contact with other utilities within the state of Minnesota. They're seeing the same things. Many of these same types of meetings are going on this week to talk to their boards and their commissions about what is happening. There's been a lot of talk in maybe social media and different things about our hedging program. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that, just more as an informational piece to this whole thing. The utility, and I'm not sure if any, well, probably none of you were on the commission when this program was started, but the utility hedges, in a normal winter, we try to hedge between 60 and 70% of our winter base load. The winter base load is the load that we feel we're not going to get below. So we don't want to hedge 100% of our gas load, because if we were to do that and we had a warm winter, we would end up selling gas back into the market. And we could sell it, if we would have sold it on those cold days, we would have made a profit. But most likely, if we're selling back into the market, it's because the weather is favorable, so the price is down. So typically, you're going to end up with selling it back as a loss. And so the decision was made that we do 60 to 70% of our winter base load. And as we see with temperatures, that percentage fluctuates because it's dependent on the number of MCFs. So we don't go out into the market and say, I want to hedge 70% of my base load. We have to hedge the number of molecules, or MMBTUs per day. So it may be 500 MMBTUs at this price per day, 1,000 at this price per day. And so it's a predetermined amount of molecules that we're hedging. So if you get extreme cold or you get increased load, that percentage is going to fluctuate. So it's not always, it may not always stay at 60 to 70% if your demand increases significantly, which of course we saw with the very cold weather. Our demand increased quite a bit. The gas that was hedged at $4.50, and that is a result of hedges that were made probably a couple years ago. And you are going to pay a premium for hedged gas because you're basing it on what you think the future is going to be for those gas prices. When we do hedges, the hedges are basically there to lower the high market costs. So you're not going to hit the low cost, but you're not going to hit the high cost either. And so it's basically done just to stabilize a portion of your load, to not have everything all in the same egg basket, so to say. You have a hedging program, and then you have your market gas as well. Because of what happened, the utility has spent basically our entire natural gas budget for the year. And so anything we purchase from this point forward with 10 months left is over budget. And just a note, I think there's some misconception about rates. There's basically two components to the utility rate. The one component to the utility rate is the distribution charge, and that's the charge that we charge our customers to put the distribution lines in, to maintain them, to do leak detecting, locating, all of that type of thing. That's one component of the rate. The second component of the rate is the actual fuel cost within that rate. That rate is not adjusted for profit. We don't make any money on that rate. It's a direct pass-through from the pipeline or our gas supplier to our customers. And so just so people know that, when gas prices are going up, it's not going to put more money in the pocket of the utility. It's actually going, directly to our gas supplier. Going forward, with everything that has happened, we have been in contact with our state and federal organizations. MMUA, which is the Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association, the American Public Power Association, APPA, as well as the American Public Gas Association, APGA. We have been in contact. Other utilities within the state have been in contact with them. These organizations have been representing the public utilities in the forms of letters, direct contact. There's some utilities just this week that have met with some of the senators, Senator Tina Smith, and the staff from Senator Amy Klobuchar. So they're trying to get the word out. They've written letters and personal contact to governors, not only of Minnesota, but the state of Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, all the other states that are seeing the same exact thing happen. There's been letters to President Biden. There's been letters to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the Department of Commerce, Department of Energy, and the Minnesota PUC. And there's actually a emergency meeting. Actually, I think it's going on right at the same time that this is going on, that MMUA is being part of with CenterPoint and Xcel, the regulated utilities, with the Minnesota PUC to kind of talk about the same thing that's happening to us. And there will be other meetings throughout the week with other municipals throughout the state to kind of talk about what they're doing, how they're going to handle this, how it's going to get, what the impact to their customers are going to be, just to get ideas on how we're all going to be able to handle this. What we're hopeful for, and some of this is long range, it's not immediate, but we're hoping that with all of the contact to the federal and state government, that there'll be an investigation into the condition of the market and what happened, who benefited, and again, how to prevent this from happening again. I think there needs to be an evaluation of the winterization of all supply and generation, so that's something that they'll be looking at. There's been some talk of that in Texas, where the assets that were used to generate electricity as well as pull natural gas out of the ground wasn't winterized, and so they failed when they saw temperatures that were unprecedented for that area. And then some consideration for the capping of natural gas prices or other mechanisms that would smooth out the major price fluctuations, so that you're not going to see a rise in gas prices from $15 on one day to $154 the next day and $188 the following. And then there has also been some talk, which could potentially directly affect the New Ulm Public Utilities as well as its customers, if there's some financial support, either through some federal funding, through low-interest loans, that type of thing, to help utilities, and their customers pay for what has happened in the last 10 days. This, I apologize, it's small, but I wanted you to get an idea of what we were looking at. This is actually the daily price index that we get from our supplier, our natural gas supplier. We get this every day. What this shows is the daily price, and so that price is put in there, and that is the price that the New Ulm Public Utility is going to pay our gas supplier for the gas that's delivered for that day. You can see there on the far right that it goes from right to left. Day 1 of February was $2.60. It's the bottom. It's the bottom row on this sheet. It's the Ventura hub. It started out at $2.60, and you can see it was kind of going along just fine until we hit $15.41, and then you can kind of see the spike. So basically, it was 5 days of high gas prices. As of yesterday, it was down again to $3.72. Today we're at $2.67. So it's gone all the way back to where the beginning of the month is, but unfortunately the damage has already been done, because those gas molecules were purchased on day 15, 14, 16. And then you can see over on the far right is the average. And so as of yesterday, the average price for the month was $40.95. That's typically, last month it was $2.67. So it's a huge increase. You can see that New Ulm gets their gas from Ventura. That's the only place that we can get it from. That's our pipeline. There's some other pipelines that were more expensive. The Demarc pipeline was more expensive. It's mainly, there's a lot of gas that's coming up into the upper Midwest because of Chicago, so there's a lot of constraint on the lines, and so we see fluctuations in gas prices, but typically not like we have seen. This is a graph that basically shows the history of natural gas prices. So I've kept track of the monthly price since 1999. This gives you a pretty good idea of what happened. You can see here. Now, what I want to comment on is this is the pooled gas price. So this is going to be the gas price if we have any hedges. It's going to be the gas price for the hedges and then the market gas pooled on average. And so you can see up until February, the highest pooled price we've seen has been about $11.50. That's not to say that the market gas hasn't been higher than that. A couple years ago, we saw about a $70 to $100 day or weekend, but we've never seen pooled gas prices at the $29.67 that's showed here. So this is significant. This graph talks about the hedges. We pay a premium to hedge. It's just like anything else. We're protecting ourselves from market fluctuations, and so we're going into the month knowing what a portion of our gas, what that cost is going to be. So again, our hedge gas is at $4.50. The daily gas at the beginning of the month was at $2.60. So you're paying a premium to do that. But a hedging strategy is going to spread out your risk, and so that's why utilities take part in that. So you can see here the purple line is the hedges. The gray shaded area is the nominations. So that's what you can kind of see at the beginning of the month. We were relatively close to our hedges. If you were looked to, today, yesterday, today, with the warm temperatures, we're probably very close to where our hedges were. But when the temperature increases, or gets colder, when the temperature gets colder, you can see that, our nominations go up because there's more demand. And then the red line is the Ventura price. So you can see where it spiked almost to $200 an MCF. So getting down to what happened to the utility. The financial impact for New Utility is threefold. There's an impact on our district energy fund. These are the steam customers that we have in our downtown area, as well as our high-pressure customers. We had a 2021 fuel budget of $635,000. The cumulative cost over the normal fuel cost is $617,000. The beginning of the month, we had an average daily cost of approximately $5,500 per day. In the 5 days of high pricing, it resulted over $600,000 of additional cost. There's also an impact on our natural gas fund. We had a 2021 fuel budget of $4.4 million. Cumulative costs over the normal fuel costs is just over $3.9 million. The beginning of the month, we had an average daily cost approximately between $20,000 and $40,000, depending on temperature. The 5 days of high pricing resulted in $3.8 million of additional costs. And we also had an impact in our electric fund, mainly due to the 69 kV project that we're doing. We are generating because we needed to drop our line from Excel in order to get that project going. That increased our project by $1.2 million because we were generating costs over and above the MISO day-ahead prices, which were high anyway because they were from $25 a megawatt hour to $402 a megawatt hour. So that's an increase in cost there as well. So just to give you a perspective of what our our bill from our gas supplier looks like. In December 2020, our gas bill was about $768,000. January of 2021, our gas bill was approximately $783,000. We anticipate to get a gas bill from our gas supplier that will be upwards of $5.8 million. So again, it shows you the dramatic effect that these 5 days had on New Ulm Public Utilities. This is being played out across the Midwest. Municipal utilities are getting hit, as well as the private, Xcel, CenterPoint, Minigasco. They're having these types of costs too. So it just depends on how what's coming forward in the future and how we're going to handle that, and that's where some decisions will have to be made going forward. So that is all I had as far as a presentation. So I guess, I'll open it up to any questions. I'm here. Some of our staff is here. If there's something that I can't answer, potentially they'll be able to do that.
Thank you for this presentation. And also, I want to share that, the other commissioners know that throughout all of this going on, you were emailing us and letting us know as it was going on, so I really appreciate having that information. I think what's from our customer standpoint, from our standpoint, obviously we have to protect the utility and we want to protect our customers. I think it's important for us to maybe discuss or share. This wasn't that unusual for Minnesota to have a week of 0-degree weather. So why did this happen? And it's because it was a nationwide problem. I think as you included in your presentation, this wasn't any choice or decision made by the utility that resulted in these high prices.
Yep.
These are high prices that we had to pay. And I think, I know I last night caught myself saying, well, wait a minute, our customers pay a rate, so they'll just pay their gas rate. And then I remembered that our rate structure is that we pass on the actual cost.
Right,
Cost adjustment, purchase gas adjustment. So people are going to see some pretty gigantic bills.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess I have two questions. One, or issues that I think we should talk about. One is, where are we at as a utility financially when you say we've spent our whole gas budget? Are we financially, how are we going to do the rest of the year now that we spent all that money? And then the second thing is there anything that we should start thinking about doing for customers who are customers who are going to get bills, probably aren't going to be able to pay them? Is there, should we be thinking about appropriate measures now, or, kind of wait and see? We already have provisions in place to deal with people who can't pay their bills and appeals processes and such, but anyway, those to me are two topics that we should be talking about.
What does an average bill increase look like for a household?
Well, it's so dependent on, what people's usage patterns are. It will be more than double. It could potentially be more than 3 times what their gas bill would be.
Ooh, I'm just thinking, I'm on a budget plan. We might want to be letting our budget.
Yeah,
And I know.
Yeah, those are all things that I think going forward we need to really talk about. Right now, we're in the position of gathering information. And, right now, I don't have all the information to give you. We have approximately probably 15 days before the bill is going to go out. And so I anticipate, we're going to probably be meeting a couple times yet between that. I was looking at wanting to get the information out to customers, at least, to let them know there's a lot of information going on. There's some misinformation. To just kind of talk about what's happening, to let our customers know. We care about them, and we care about how they're going to pay their bill. Nobody's taking this lightly, that this is not a financial hardship, if not for our customers, but for the utility as well. Going forward, we have determined we have enough cash to pay our February gas bill, which is good, because there's there's information in the contract, or there's contract language that basically says that, if you don't pay your bill, they're going to shut you off. And so, we need to make sure that we can continue to supply natural gas to our customers here in New Ulm. And so we're able to pay the bill. Going forward, typically through that fuel cost adjuster, we will be able to pass that along to our customers in the normal part of business. And so, when we send out a bill, there's the purchase gas adjustment that typically in the past has been negative for most customers. And so, depending on what is decided going forward, that probably is going to be, that will be a positive number from this point. There's different things that can be done. Part of it could be where, an amount is calculated that is spread out over a billing over a certain amount of time. There's some utilities that are looking at doing something like that. It could be that part of it is maybe bought down through, we don't necessarily have a rate stabilization fund, but there could be something that, that's put together for that. There's other things that have been talked about. We've talked with our bonding agents with regards to borrowing and spreading it out over a longer period of time. We don't have an answer for that yet. It's a utility, in city, that is is unique in the fact that you can't just go to a bank and ask to borrow money. And so we're trying to figure out what the tax implications of that would be. So, we're looking for different avenues to try to, maybe help our customers if we can, or, find ways to deal with the financial impacts just from a utility standpoint. And we'll have more information. Like I said, tomorrow morning I have a phone call with several gas utilities in Minnesota. We're going to talk exactly about this. What is everybody else doing? Does somebody else have a better idea than what, New Ulm has? Or, can New Ulm give an idea to them and how to deal with this? But our customers are going to feel feel it, because number one, it was cold. It was so cold for so long. And then, some of this is going to have to get passed on. I mean, it's not, we can't bear the brunt of the entire impact.
Lynn, isn't part of the reason that you can't talk numbers right now is because we don't know if the federal government is going to come in, or...
Well, exactly. There may be some federal funding that could potentially come. I don't know what the consumption is yet. Meter reads are coming in, will be coming in on the first of the month, so within a few days, we'll be able to see what the actual impact is for the weather and what type of consumption that we were actually looking at. We haven't been able to really talk to our gas supplier either. I've sent some emails to them. They have not yet gotten back. I'm sure they're swamped. And so there's some of that needs to be figured out as well.
So, Chris, if I look at just this slide that you have here, it looks like our January to February gas supply bill is going up 7.5 times. But we're saying from a customer billing standpoint related to gas, it's about 3 times is your current estimate. So does that mean that we are bearing the brunt of the rest of it, or is it because a lot of it's going to be going to steam customers, or?
Well, this is, the 5.8 is in total, and so, if you were to go back, you can see that there's 635,000 that is actually from our district energy.
Okay.
District energy also has a fuel cost adjuster, so that's going to affect that as well. It is totally dependent on people's usage. So if you say, I could say, well, my bill's going to go up 3%, but my neighbors could go up 5, or not 3%, 3 times. My neighbor could go up 5 times, depending on what the usage is. And we have our industrial and our large commercial customers as well that are going to get hit. So it's hard to quantify right now exactly what that impact is. I can tell you what, I can show you what the difference in gas prices were.
But what my point I was trying to get to is, it's not just the gas that we're passing on to the customers that are gonna see, we're gonna see a significant hit ourselves, just on the gas that we consume within the city, within the PUC.
Right, yes.
That will be
You're exactly
A
right.
very large number as well. It's not like we're
Oh,
passing
yeah.
5 million on in February's bill.
You're exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get hit just as hard as our customers will.
So we talked about gas. Do we have an understanding of what the impact is going to be on the electric side of things too? Because when you listen to the news in Texas, it's very little discussion about gas. It's all discussion about electric and these monster bills. Are we going to see? I know we're going to see some impact, but do we have any foresight into
Well,
whether it'll be anywhere near the significance as the gas?
it will not.
Okay.
It will not be, mainly because what you're hearing in the news and the impact of the electric is in states where they're heating with electric heat. So in the southern part of the United States, the majority of houses are heated with electric heat. And so they're seeing it on the electric side where we're seeing on the natural gas side. The impact we are going to see is the project, is that 69 kV project. Typically, we would have been, we have a contract for a portion of our electric load through Heartland. And everything else, typically, we would go to the MISO market to buy the remainder of the electricity that we need. MISO prices rose just like gas prices rose. Like I said, at one point, the day-ahead price was $402, which is extremely high. Typically, MISO's, runs anywhere from $25 to $60 a megawatt hour. However, we were not pulling energy off of the MISO market. We were generating internally because we had to cut ties with Xcel in order to be able to do this project. And so that's why we're seeing more of a hit on the electric side than we probably would have otherwise, because we were generating. But, that, depending on what happens with that, it's part of the generation project.
Okay, thank you.
Anything we can be doing, commissioners?
Well, I guess, I will continue to, to get information to you as I can. I know it's a little premature to be meeting. I just needed you guys to have the information. I needed the public to have the information. But I think recognizing that in the next few days, we'll have to make some decisions as to how we want to really go forward.
Yeah,
Once we get some of the consumption numbers in, and we, obviously the gas price is going down, so that's a good thing. That will help to keep our bills lower for the next couple days, so that 5.8 doesn't escalate even further. But I guess just, if you see people, or, I'm telling people to continue to conserve, because like I said before, every molecule that you are not burning now is going to lower your bill. Because even though the price is at $2.67, we get charged an average price. So it's average over the entire month. And so, every little bit that you can conserve will help your financial position as a consumer. And I guess getting that message out to people that or if people are asking. We've only got a few days left, 7 days or 5 days left, so.
Chris, when are they doing meter reading again?
The readings are always done on the first of the month. Yep, so
Did
March.
you say you have 15 days then to get to the next billing?
Typically, they'll go out on the 10th. They may be a little bit later this month with everything that's going on. We can't push them too far because we have 3 cycles. So the latest they probably would go out would be the 12th. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would hurt us to continue to communicate, like, citywide, the concept of keep fighting to keep your usage down through these last 5-6 days, because it will make a significant difference on your bill.
yeah, and that's something, we are putting ads in, we've had some ads in the paper, we've had them on KNUJ. We can continue do that, it costs a little bit of money to do that, but I think it's well worth having those in there. We'll also continue putting stuff on Facebook and our website to get the information out. And I see the journals here, so hopefully, that message will get out that way too. Just letting people know. I know there's been some discussion, on social media about, well, if I turn my furnace down, it costs more to heat my house back up again. What we're really saying is, if you can afford, to turn your furnace back a couple degrees or what, instead of it being at, 70, you've got it down to, 65, and you leave it there. I mean, that's all savings to you as a consumer. And, you're not going to be paying that $40 or $29 natural gas price. So, that's the biggest takeaway, I think, from today, is to just continue. And it helps a little bit more now that it's warmer.
But I think then people think they don't have to worry about it because it's warmer.
Yeah,
When it's cold.
you're looking at your bill as a monthly bill, and so whatever you can continue to do for the next few days will be helpful.
And on the monthly bills, the budget bills, are they based off of historical consumption of the years past versus prices and things like that?
Yes, typically, I'll try to get this right, if not, Nicole will help me out, but typically, a budget billing is calculated on the past 11 months. It takes 11 months, and it divides it out. Is that right?
No, it takes your past 12 months, divides it out by 11,
11.
you pay that flat price, and then that last month is the balancing month. So if you're on budget billing now, and you all of a sudden have this high bill, and it throws your budget way out of whack, you're not going to get hit now, but you're going to get hit in April when that balancing bill
Right,
comes out.
but it won't affect your new budget because it's based off of consumption, not necessarily.
No, it's actually based off the total amount, what you normally pay, and then we work in a percentage increase normally, but
So,
2020,
it could affect
22
that budget, but we can play with those numbers, with the percentages when we do the calculations.
Okay.
yeah, knowing that this is an unusual event, it won't penalize people next year.
No.
But, that's another great point, as far as budget billing, is that people should really be taking a look at their bill when they get it to see where they're at, not that they're surprised come April, May.
And if they want to, they can pay extra now and put more into that budget amount
Right.
for the next couple of months until that balancing amount comes out.
Question about the rate itself. This is more of a math question than anything else, but are we paying an average daily rate or a weighted average daily rate?
Well, what basically happens is, we pay by the day. So it's the
Okay.
number of MMBTUs for that day. So our gas supervisor will put in a nomination every day for what he thinks the city is going to use. And that's what we are billed on. And there's some balancing at the end of the month. It's, a little bit more involved than just this. But, yeah, typically, it will take whatever the amount is for that day times the price. And then it averages out at the end. So then there's, you maybe have 40,000 MMBTUs left. It takes it times that average.
Okay, yeah, so I would call it a weighted average.
Absolutely,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And then what we do the same thing as well, only it's not necessarily on a daily basis, but we do it, when we get the bill from BP, we'll do a average of what our hedges are compared to what the market price was, based on usage. So that's weighted as well.
So, but then for our consumers, they're just paying a flat rate for the month,
Yes,
based on what the market rate is, because we don't have a way where we track their daily usage at the daily rate.
no,
Correct.
no,
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
So did you have any other questions on the hedges, or, do you, I think, obviously, the price is a bit more than what the spot daily market was, but the fact that we had that did save us, because for, those days, we had a portion of our gas at $4.50 rather than $154.
Yeah,
So,
and that might be a point that we make. I don't know whether it's in a meeting where it's broadcast on the news, or if it hits the journal, of what the hedges, it'll be months later when we figure it out, but what the hedges actually prevented us from paying if we had not had the hedges.
right.
Because it will be very significant.
Yeah, well, it's going to be the
That graph,
difference.
That one graph that you
Yeah,
had.
it'll be the difference between the $154 and the $450 times, whatever the amount that was hedged for
Right.
that day. And it was at least, on the real cold days, the hedges were, at least a third of what our usage was. So it makes a difference.
It'll be a big number.
So maybe we'll have a special meeting before next month, do you think? Possible?
Yes, yeah. I think that, I guess my intention is to get through the week with the meetings that are going on. I want to hear what the Minnesota PUC is going to do. And tomorrow's meeting, we'll talk about what some of the senators, the conversations that they've had with some of the senators, if there's even the availability of federal funding. I don't know that. So probably we'll have another one of these meetings, probably sometime next week, to really kind of hash out, what our options are. I think I'll give you some ideas, and then, we can, I think it's going to be a combination of a few things. It's not going to be just one thing, so.
It'd be interesting to see who ultimately, like we said, who ultimately is benefiting from it, because someone obviously is making
Yeah. That
a
may take a
ridiculous
while,
amount.
to ultimately find that out, but it sounds like the federal agencies are looking at investigating.
Yeah, because ultimately, it probably became more expensive to distribute gas, but unlikely it became 75 times more expensive to distribute gas.
And I do know, down in Texas, and it was in the news, some of the generators that were kind of mothballed, they brought back out. And they did allow some of the emissions, they waived some of the emission standards just to get some generation online. So it'll be hard to tell what, it'll be interesting. Hopefully there's a report that comes out as to what actually went wrong and what can be done in the future. Because it's, there's some smaller utilities than the New Ulm Public Utilities that have exorbitant bills that they're going to be having to pay to their suppliers, so.
guess that's, anybody want to talk anymore about?
One comment, if you don't mind. You know, I would just like to really take this moment to really give Chris a lot of thanks by really being proactive in this. I've been on other calls with other cities, and after the event happened, I was talking to cities, and none of them had informed any of their customers that this was going on. So the proactive approach, you know, even when it went from 6 to 15, there was already an email going out about this to customers. So the very proactive approach has been very good for our customers. And, you know, I know it's a huge shock, will be a huge shock to them, but they should know that we're one of the only communities in the area that started getting this information out to them prior to the huge increase in price. So, you know, I would commend Chris on being that proactive in this instance to inform our customers.
Great.
I'll second that.
Also, like Linda, thank you for the emails that really kept us abreast of what was going on. They
I'll
helped.
continue, you know, if I have any additional information.
They helped.
It's starting to come out, you know, finally it's starting to come out in the news. I've seen, you know, KARE 11 now, you know, the Star Tribune had some articles. So that's good. It's good that it's, you know, it's going to let people know.
Fortunately for many of those communities, knowing now is too late. So yeah, us knowing early made a difference. Made a difference in my house, I know.
Good.
We made some different choices.
Okay, so do we adjourn a work session? Or do we just, do we formally adjourn? Okay, we'll be adjourned.
Sounds good.